Ladies and creatures and gentlemen, I am Where's Waldo, apparently. This is your host, Mitchell Ruland. This is a podcast show for the average Joe. Check us out on YouTube to watch the videos. Check us out on our audio podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, etc., etc., etc. We have a really cool guest on today. Also, if you can, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to all of our stuff and let people know about this show. We'd really appreciate it. We could appreciate the support. Today I have a guest by the name of Emma Buratti. 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 Hello, Emma.
Hi, how are you, Mitchell?
I am doing splendid now that you're here.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, we are very honored to have you on. Thanks for being here as well. Your last name Buratti, is that Spanish, right?
No, it's Italian.
It's Italian.
My father was
Okay,
Italian. Yes.
Do you usually, when you say it, do you have to roll your R's like that? Buratti.
No, but there's like an emphasis on the A. It's Buratti.
Buratti. Oh yeah, because that's the Italian. Buratti. We here with Emma Buratti.
There you go. That was pretty good.
Was that all right? All right, cool. Yeah. So you are from London, England.
Yes, I'm a Londoner.
She's a British person, ladies and gentlemen. I think she's my my second English guest on here. Who was the first one? Suzanne. Yeah, Suzanne from Manchester. Yeah, so pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about. Well, I know a lot about you, but anybody listening to this probably doesn't. You do just a bunch of stuff, right? Opera singing, you're a writer. What else? Let's go down the list here.
Vocal coach.
Vocal coach, yeah. What else? What else?
Well, mainly I'm an arty person. I'm a creative person.
What do you think out of all of those things that you do, what would probably be your number one? Or would you say there's a clear number one?
People are obsessed with counting things, but it's like when they ask me, well, my mother's Spanish, my father was Italian, and I'm a Londoner, and they're like, well, which one do you identify with all of them? And if you ask me if I have to choose between being a singer, a writer, or a vocal coach, I just couldn't do it. All of them. I mean, what's wrong with being a Renaissance woman, right?
That's a very good point. I read this book, actually did this on the spoken word things, Brené Brown's Gifts of Imperfection. And she, in her book, she talked about how you don't have to just be one thing. You can be multiple things. You can be like a starving artist who is a painter and also flips burgers at McDonald's. You can be multiple things if you want to be. You don't have to define yourself by one tagline. And I was like, that's I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think also you change depending on the circumstances. You might be a reserved, quiet person in certain circumstances, and then you just find something that challenges you in life, and then you become a knight on a horse and fighting for a cause. Most people in history that have done amazing things didn't actually seek to do those things. It just happened to them.
Yeah, that's a really very good point. I hope I'm like that. If I'm a knight on my valiant steed.
I think you've got big things coming to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So you, how long have you been doing opera? Like, how did you even get into that? What's the story behind all that?
Well, I didn't have anybody in my family that was artistic. I come from working class parents. And I just one day was by accident invited to an opera. And I saw this thing in Rome. It was in the terms of Caracalla. And I saw these people singing and horses coming on stage. And I was just so amazed. I was a teenager. And I said, I want to do this. I didn't even know if I could. So I just went for it and I found the way to do it. And I did some really cool things. I didn't become a top singer, but I did my my solo operas and sang around the world. And yeah, I love singing. I couldn't live in this world without music. I just couldn't. Of all the crap human beings do, which is a lot, my God, if we go extinct and somebody would say, what's the best thing humans ever did? Our music has to be all the way up there.
I almost feel like I might agree with that. I have to really think about it. I don't know. I really love comic books. So I'm gonna have to flip a coin on that.
Comics and well, that's
It's
like writing and painting,
yeah,
isn't it? It's again
literature.
a
But no, no,
hybrid
no.
art.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Music is probably top three greatest contributions that mankind has given to this planet.
And it's the most significant one. When somebody dies, what do tribes do? What do people do? They sing. When somebody gets married, people sing. When there's a virus going on, people go to the balconies and sing. When you're happy, you sing. When you're miserable, you go and listen to miserable music to reassure yourself of your feelings. So yeah, I'm crazy. I have a love affair with music. I really do.
So, getting into opera, did you also get into theater? Did you do any plays or anything like that?
Oh no, I mean, no. That is definitely not my thing. I need the music to pull it all together. I mean, you do acting, of course, in opera, but I need the music. I feel that actors that go out on stage with just their word is a brave thing to do. I have, when I come out and I sing Puccini, I've got a whole orchestra behind me. So it's very easy to feel those emotions, but to feel them out of the blue, out of nothingness, it's a tough thing.
Hey, so let me ask you this question, Emma. Are you going to do some opera singing for us before the show's over? I just put her on the spot,
We'll
Matt.
see.
What's that?
We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, please, please do it. If it would be so. Today's my birthday, so you should.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you,
Happy
thank you,
birthday. I didn't know
Emma.
that.
Hold on, it's not really my birthday.
Don't listen to him. He's a lot.
Oh,
Don't, Matt. Damn it! You're not supposed to tell that. Yes, if you so as the show progresses on, you think about it. Let it marinate in that big brain of yours, and be like, yeah, I want to sing. I want to sing for these people. Show them what it's all about. I would love it. But hey, it's up to you. No pressure. No pressure. Okay, so also you are an author and you write and you have a book in the works, correct?
Yeah, actually, it was a great week because I'm working now with an agency and editors. So it's the first time I actually exposed the book, and I got really great reviews. Still hard work, lots of rewrites, but they were really, really positive about it and thought that there's no reason why it shouldn't find an audience, and that the story is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I hope the audience agrees with it.
Can you share any little bit about the synopsis of the story with the audience here, if you would?
Well, well, it's a mixture of historical fiction and science fiction. So it's in a way it's a fantasy, historical fantasy, I would call it. And it's based in 17th century Rome. Now that was the time when modern science was starting to come alive, right? The seeds before Isaac Newton. And there were a lot of people with extraordinary thoughts that kind of, well, they didn't come from nowhere because nothing comes from nowhere. But it was quite revolutionary. You have a Dominican monk that got up one morning and said there are multiple universes in the 17th century with no experimentation, with nothing. So I found the whole thing so fascinating that I built this story up. And it's got a lot of science in it. It's got a lot of the themes that actually we still are dealing with today, right? Which is what fascinates me, that I'm doing this novel hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and still you find there's the church and their morality issues. There's science fighting against religion. There's individuals fighting for the personal freedom, because in those days, the government was in your bedroom, it was in your mind, it was in your house. So you had to do a fake persona. So what was going in the house had to be very private. And then once you were outdoors, you had to pretend to be somebody else, which had to be psychologically devastating. And so I look at all these things and I'm like, hold on a minute. This is all still here in a less severe form, but the issues are still here. And so I think even though it's a historical fantasy, it's actually quite contemporary to all the mess that's happening.
How does someone just wake up one day and just want to write something like that? Like, what was your inspiration? Did an apple fall out of the tree and hit you on the head?
I really, actually, I also put this in the book. It's this question, it kind of is answered in the book. But one thing I hear a lot, especially from extremely, not that I'm saying I'm extremely talented, but I hear this from extremely talented people. The kind of people that you say, where the hell did they come from? Like they're tuned into something, because their creativity, their vision, they're like ahead of everybody. And every single time I hear them say that, it's like they're channeled or something, that ideas come to them in their sleep. Some of them can't even sleep at night because all these ideas are coming in. And I heard, I can't remember her name. What's the name of the author of Pray, Eat, Love?
The Eat, Pray, Love book is written by the author Elizabeth Gilbert.
I saw a TED talk she gave, and it was about the muses. And she was saying this, that you get stuck and then these ideas just come to you, like somebody's feeding them to you. And that in antiquity, they used to call that the muses. And that's what I felt. I suddenly got up one morning and I had an idea. And I have to say that every time I got stuck, I went to bed. The following morning, I woke up and I had a chapter like a movie in my head. So I found this a fascinating experience, and the more you focus on the book, the more you get into it, the more you are fed. And sometimes it really became creepy, because I would dream something and I would say, okay, I'm going to write this. But of course, because it's history, I'm very faithful to the details of the period, even though my story is fantastic. But the context, I try to be as accurate as possible. So when I had this idea and this dream, I had to fact check it to see if it was possible with the dates, the people, and so on. And what was freaky about this? It matched.
Did you get goosebumps, or did your head start
I
spinning
did.
when you
Several times
stumbled
I
upon
did.
this?
Yeah, several times I did. And there are some people that even say that whatever feeds us gives the idea to the collective conscious, right? And if you don't pick it up and action it, somebody else will. Now, how fascinating is that,
That is
right?
exquisitely fascinating.
Yeah. And there's this experimentation. I was watching this video documentary, and I think it was in the UK. Don't quote me on this, but they were doing an experimentation where they would put an individual in a room, and there was a green button and a red button, I think. And they would put images, right? And they would say, if it's happy, you press green. If it's sad, you press red. And they did this to thousands of people. And what they found out was that everybody, oh, and they, of course, then they monitored your brain. They put all these things in your head. And they found out that everybody knew what was going to be on that screen 6 seconds before it happened. How the hell is that possible? The, The brain was reacting 6 seconds before.
That's very interesting. So when are you going to send me a copy of this book to read? What's the deal?
Oh, well, let me finish the rewrite because I'm starting next week. Yeah, I'm starting next week.
What happens? You do the rewrites and then you go in to try to do publishing? Are you going to self-publish, or are you going through a company?
No, I'm going to try and get published because their marketing machinery is just amazing, and I'm going to try and get backed.
I'm so
Then
excited for
if
you.
that
Like,
doesn't fall through, then yeah, of course I'll explore other options. But I think as a first author, you need help. Once you're established, then you've got your audience, you know.
right, yeah. Your 1,000 true fans.
I think you need more than 1,000 to make money out of a book.
No, I mean I learned that it was 1,000 true fans and that's all you need. That's it. Nail in the coffin, boom, it's done. So there's talks of a new mayor in London coming up. How do you feel about that?
I just think it's, I love my city, and us Londoners, we've seen it all. UK's been on the map for a long time. And Londoners are savvy people, and they I trust my fellow subjects. I really do. I trust them, you know. We're not crazy people. We're hardworking, tough people. London is a tough town, and it's tough to survive. And even though we have this crazy shutdown and the virus, and this has been a year from hell, still, even then, I trust that my fellow Londoners have common sense. We are practical. We are a practical people, and we don't like our sovereignty or our identity tampered with. We're very inclusive too. We're very inclusive, but and we have fantastic media that is really, really tough. So I trust our media. We have journalists that, were trained to question and ask really difficult questions. And some people, outsiders find our journalists quite rude. But it's because they go to the point and they will ask those questions that will hurt you, and you can't dodge them. They will come back like a dog with a bone. So I trust my fellow journalists too. I really.
God, I wish I could get interviewed by one of those people. I would have so much fun with that. God, I would have
Oh,
so
it's
much fun.
tough. It's tough stuff. I actually saw one of your citizens. What's his name? Ben Shapiro. Yeah, he was interviewed by one of our top journalists. And oh my God, he gave him a rough time. But he thought that he was being biased, but they're not. They will do the same thing with the opposition or the candidate from, they'll just dissect you. They're trained to dissect you because they want to know who you are. So I think that all in all, you have to be all pretty bold or pretty crazy to go and stand up to those people.
I'm pretty crazy, or I'm just really dumb. Let's not one of the two, or both. So tell us a little bit, like deviating off of this subject. Tell us a little bit about like how does one become a vocal coach? Why are you a vocal coach? What does that entail?
Well, I'm more than a vocal coach, really. But this is what happened. During my life, I had always like a parallel life. On the one hand, I was in the arts, so I would perform, and on the other hand, I had a corporate career because I also like money.
Don't we all?
So I would find myself in really awkward situations. I still do, where I'm in an office working with my colleagues, and then I'll take a plane, go to a theater, and sing in front of 2,000 people. Isn't that weird? But I think actually, again, I'm terrible with names, but I think you've got actually in America a CEO. She's a woman, and she's the CEO of a top company. But then she's a songwriter, and she has a career, and a very successful career as a songwriter and performer. Can't remember her name. And I thought, wow, there you go. So look, she's successful at both. She's the CEO and, I think she was an award-winning singer also. So I'm a bit, I mean, not that level, but um, that's how my life um, has been. And I spent 10 years training on vocal technique as an opera singer with a very well-known line of professors of bel canto. And then I've been in the corporate world writing a lot, and I know executives really, really well. And I've been backing them for more than 2 decades. So all this combined because I wanted to start my own business. And when you do that, you sit down and you say, well, what can I do? How can I bring these two lives together? And that's my business. That's how I met you. I was starting my own business. And yeah, I just found a way of combining them both in an interesting way, and it works. I've been practicing training people, podcasters, people that actually have a public voice, and I've achieved some really serious transformational stuff, like really transformational. And I love it because of course I have all this knowledge that I've worked all my life to acquire. But then when you get someone, it's a bit like an experiment because everybody's different and everybody has their own problems. So you cannot do a copy and paste method. You just have to observe them, see what they're doing, and use your logic and your technique and put it all together. And then you start building them, and you find obstacles and you have to find a way of how to go through them. Because sometimes you even have to change the way their mind works or how they think. And I just suddenly found that I'm actually quite passionate about it. It's really great to transform someone that maybe is verbally inarticulate into someone that suddenly the personality starts to come out. Because it's not that they didn't have a personality in the first place. It's just that they're not trained. They don't know exactly what they're doing and what's stopping them from shining and becoming the star that's in them, right? And I just love bringing that out. I really do. It's like really interesting. And I love to watch their faces when they say, oh my God, I was doing this. I had no idea. Yeah. And you have to be pretty sharp to observe it and see what's not working or how you're going to tackle it.
And so the vocal coaching you do obviously is for people for speaking engagements, and then you also do stuff for people singing and stuff as well, obviously.
Yes, I do give singing lessons. Singing lessons is a different thing, but the technique is the same. But not everybody knows how to sing. So I adapt bel canto technique in my own way to get people to change their voices, literally transform how they sound. And then also because I'm a writer and I have corporate life, I also go into what they're saying, how they're saying it, and what's behind the curtain, what's making them look bad, what's in their heads, why they're not appealing to people's hearts. It's like, I'm a big fan of Agatha Christie. So it's a bit like that. It's like starting one of her novels and not knowing, who the murderer is. So in this case, it's like you got somebody in front of you and you just have to take all these layers one after the other to see, who's behind it. And then bring that out, make people be really who they are. Because in this society, this is why I spoke about the novel in the 17th century about pretending to be something else. And I think that still happens. Okay, not because you're going to be killed or sent to prison for doing things that are not legal, in those days. But we all pretend to be something else because we want to be liked, we want to be validated, we want to be attractive. But what we don't realize is that by faking it, actually, you're not attractive and people can see straight through you. Whilst if you are who you are and you really potentiate that, you really bring that to the fore, that's what people are going to flock to you like flies.
Wow. I feel like I'm having a session with a practical psychologist right now. I'm laying on this couch and she's petting my hair. She's like, yes, Mitchell, and this is the secrets to life. This is the
Yes.
secrets to life. I just did a terrible impression of your voice. So I'm making light of it, but yeah, I agree with everything that you said. It's really crazy in the world that you live in too, for you to get to see these things. I can imagine is very rewarding, right? You're kind of vicariously living through other people's happiness, and then it makes you more happy, and then everybody's happy, happiness all around.
Yeah, especially in the tech world, you got these brains, these really, some of them even geniuses, and there's so much in that head. And then they start speaking and they look insignificant or small or like they have no personality. And I think that's a shame because behind that, they are the one transforming society. They're the one coming up with the ideas.
But wouldn't you chalk that up to equilibrium? Like they are geniuses. They are so smart. They're so incredible. So there has to be something that balances them out as a human being, right? So they're that smart, but then they can't speak very well, or they eat like a bulldog or something. I don't know.
No, you see, I think equilibrium would be for the geniuses to be able to communicate and charm everyone. And then the sleazy politicians with empty heads to tone them down and make them speak like who they really are. And that would be a lot of sissing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, sleazy. I love that word, sleazy. Haven't
Yeah,
heard it in
yeah. I
forever.
think it's time that we cultivated and we heard the voices that actually have something in their heads. And I would love to hear shy people with integrity, real integrity, speak out. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I would love to have a client that is incredibly integrous and intelligent and help him become a star. I think that would be fantastic.
Well, then
But
you should
then
help me.
maybe
I'm that
maybe
person.
once he got hold of power, he would just change. Who knows? Power is a bad aphrodisiac. It's
You got to help me, Emma. You got to coach me up so I can be that
oh,
person.
I think you're charming enough.
Am I? Boom. Here we
Oh
go.
yes, you've got a very attractive
I love how
voice.
she says, "Oh, you do."
You do know.
Matt's like rolling
You
his
know
eyes
the
again.
power of your
Matt
voice.
cannot stand when lovely, elegant ladies give me compliments about myself. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yeah, sure.
me and him. Just so we're clear, Matt's been my friend since we were kids. So we bust each other's balls all day long. It's great. Anyway, I thank you for that compliment, though, Emma. I really appreciate that. Let me ask you this question: You, how many languages do you speak? So you're Italian and British and Spanish. Do you speak? Obviously, you speak English. Huh.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of trilingual. My mother tongue is English, but my Spanish, my Italian are mother tongues too. And then I studied French at school. And then my grandmother and my mother are from an area of Spain that there's several official languages in Spain. And the one they speak is called Gallego. And it's basically very, very similar to Portuguese. So that's another one that I have under my belt. I'm very fortunate. We used to have a house where I would speak in my language and they would speak in theirs. So I would talk to my dad in English and he would answer back in Italian. So you know that's how we functioned. And if you speak to any multilingual family, especially like the sons of ambassadors, normally they speak even up to 7 languages. or if you speak to Swiss people, Swiss people, they speak German, English, French, Italian, and Flemish, most of them. I think that's probably why the European Union and the United Nations are in that area of Europe, because Belgium is the same thing. They speak loads of languages. So compared to them, I'm really a novice.
Well, I mean, you say that, but then compared to me, you're a superstar because I speak one language and then I speak some gibberish kind of well. Some incoherent, broken English stuff. So I don't want to put you on display like you're some kind of circus clown or anything, but would you say a statement in all the languages that you can? Well, not all the languages, but in English, Spanish, and Italian. Just because this is for my own personal gratification.
What statement would you like me to make?
Mitchell is just the most wonderful. No, I don't know. Like, let's see. What can she say? Thank you for watching.
You want me to say that your voice is very beautiful?
No, because I already get I get so much flack for people saying I have a big ego and blah blah blah. So just say thank you for watching the Wrestling Diaries. That's a good one.
Okay. Grazie per guardare the Wrestling Diaries. That would be Italian. Spanish is gracias por escuchar the Wrestling Diaries, los diarios de wrestling. Then in French it would be merci pour écouter le Wrestling Diaries. And in Portuguese it would be muito obrigado por escutar the Wrestling Diaries.
Nice. Is there not a translation for Wrestling Diaries, or you're just saying it because it's the English title?
Well, wrestling, I don't know. Wrestling is such an American thing, isn't it?
I guess it is.
Wrestling.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Wrestling is totally.
I mean, we would say something like boxing. For us it would be boxing.
Maybe we should change our name to the Boxing Diaries, Matt. What are you boxing with? Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I just love hearing people speak different languages and stuff. I guess it makes me wish that I was at least bilingual. I should be bilingual considering that I'm half Vietnamese, but
yes, you should be speaking Vietnamese and learn it,
My mom never she was really busy. She was a single mom working a full-time job and also being a foreigner, and she tried to teach us as children the language, and then we would forget words and she'd have to go over them again, and she just didn't spend the time for it. She also has this concept. She was like, well, your dads were American, and so, I figured there's no use for it because there's not a lot of Vietnamese people here. There's not any, really. And so, and I was like, whatever, Mom, you ruined us.
Think about it this way, right? If we're going to go metaphysical and just talk for the sake of talking, there's some people that think that our ancestors talk to us, right? I think the Japanese are really into this, and the Chinese too. So if it's true that our ancestors talk to us, well, look how much you're missing out on, because if your ancestors speak Vietnamese, you won't be catching a thing.
I know. And I have to learn French too fluently because I'm also French.
So look at all the power you're missing out on. All your Vietnamese ancestors lining up to tell you the secret of life.
Yeah, my French ancestors as well. I've got to learn French as well. My grandfather was from France.
Oh, there you go. I actually can see the Frenchman in you.
Yeah, well, my last name is Houlain, or I think it's pronounced Houlain or something like that. Yeah. So, I got to get on. I just got to get one of those apps, those language apps on my phone, and just practice it every day. I was doing that a little bit for Vietnamese. I can speak probably like with like what I learned growing up from my mother and what I'd learned by myself. I'm probably like at, I don't know, 12%. It's like a very specific number, like 12%. I could probably go to Vietnam and know enough to get around, and that's about it. I probably could not hold a good conversation with somebody in Vietnamese, but I could ask them where the restroom is.
In London, I grew up with a girl. She was nearly family. And she was the same thing as me. Her father was Italian, her mother was Spanish. But in those days, Spanish and Italians were the poor immigrants that came to London. So she kind of got ashamed of it or what have you, and for some reason cancelled those cultures and just chose to be British. She even started to look very British. I look very Mediterranean. And I never felt that way. I was just so proud of my Spanish Italian background. I'm proud of being a Londoner. And my God, these three countries, how much, well, good and bad, they brought to the world. Um, but I'm proud of the good. I'm proud of the good. Roman Empire, Spanish Empire, British Empire. I'm proud of the good things of those empires. All empires, do a lot of damage
Yeah, I love
too.
ethnicities and nationalities, and I love that stuff. It excites me. It's so interesting to me. That's why I always like to hang out with a bunch of different kids when I was growing up in school, especially if they're from different countries and stuff like that. And even if the other kids, why are you talking to them? They don't even speak English. So they're so fascinating. I don't know.
Well,
People are really
I would look at the mix and I really try to do my own cocktail, right? So I try to get the English rational thinking to the point because I really like that. Then I try to get the sense of style of the Italians and, their sense of beauty. They even draw on cappuccinos. Those people just are so glamorous and artistic no matter what they do. And then I wanted to have the Spanish passionate character, a bit of anarchic too. So I tried to be the best of all three. I don't know whether I achieved it, but I tried.
Yeah, you seem like a child of the world. I feel like you're doing a good job. What's your favorite cuisine out of all of those? What's your number one? Do you have one, or is it just
Oh, well, it's the Italian cuisine. It is. Of course, most people just know pasta and pizza, and they have no idea of how incredibly varied and wonderful that cuisine is. And I love Spanish cuisine. I love French cuisine. Every country has something. I can't say I like UK cuisine, although they do have great desserts. I love their desserts, like Eton mess and apple crumble with custard cream. I love custard cream. No one can do custard cream like the Brits. But so you can find something everywhere, but mostly, yes. It for me it is. I divide it in continents, right? So for me, the best cuisine of the American continent, both North and South, is Mexican. Real
I
Mexican food,
agree.
not crap. But real Mexican
Yeah,
food
right.
is
Real
the
Mexican food.
best of that continent. I think Italian is the best food of Europe. And I think I don't have enough knowledge to judge Asia
It's Vietnamese.
and or the East. But what I do know is I have tried Indian cuisine, and officially, I think in the Guinness record books, it's the country with most number of dishes. So I think that is quite important, right? That they have an enormous variety. So I think I would be inclined to the Indian cuisine. But as you say, I don't know, for example, Vietnamese cuisine. I know Thai cuisine. I love Thai cuisine.
Vietnamese cuisine is the best. It's a combination of like Eastern and a little bit of Western because the French colonizing Vietnam for like 75 years. So there's a lot of crossover with European cuisine. And then, they live in an island nation. So, of course, the rice and the seafood and the bát mi, which is a Vietnamese sandwich, is on a French baguette. And yeah, I'm saying this obviously. Yes, I am biased to it, but I feel like there's been I've read some poll in some magazine about like top cuisines in the world, and Vietnamese was, I think, in the top 10 or maybe the top 5, and there was no other Asian cuisine. I think like Thai or Japanese might have been up there, but
I'm not a big fan of Japanese cuisine. Like, I think it looks beautiful. I love
You
watching
don't
the
like
chefs.
sushi? You don't like sushi?
No, no, I don't like anything that's raw. I really
Well, they
don't.
make not all sushi is raw. There's you can get the flash fried stuff and lightly what is it? Lightly grilled. Because I don't really like the raw stuff either. I usually get it flash fried if I get sushi. I get some raw stuff.
But then I'm also very aware of my ignorance, right? For example, from the African continent, I thought all the time that Egyptian cuisine was the best, right? But then I went to this restaurant from the country, Etheria, is it? Etheria. And I was so surprised and I really enjoyed their food. And it was quite original, because you were exposed to everything. So nothing surprises us that much. But I was quite surprised. I really enjoyed that food and I had no knowledge of it.
Yeah, I love how you said that out of all the Americas, Mexican is number one. I definitely agree with you
Oh,
on
it
that.
is. Oh my God, it is. I know the Venezuelans will kill me. The Argentinians will say, we have the best meat. And, they're all really fighting me on this. But hey, it's my taste.
Yeah, it is your taste. And let me tell you something about those Argentinians and Venezuelans. They haven't been to Taco Bell, so they don't know.
Oh no, but I annoy them like hell because they come to me and they say, this is all proud, oh, this is our dish and this and that. And I'm like, we've got that in Spain. It's called this. We've got that in Spain. It's called that. And they just hate me.
Oh my gosh. Emma Buratti. I'm going to take you're silly, but you're also very deep. And I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. Although you got pretty deep on the show already. But I'll get to the point of the show where I ask the individual what are they wrestling with? Hence the name of the show, The Wrestling Diaries. What are you wrestling with right now? What are you struggling with individually as a person? What are the demons in your closet, in your head, under your bed that you're fighting with? And how can you beat them?
I I try to be an integrous person, and that's a very lonely place.
What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Well, this is the thing about Western society, right? I think we've gone to an extreme, and all extremes are bad. So it's all about immediate satisfaction, no sense of sacrifice, no sense of looking at the long term, no sense of self-respect, um, selling yourself, first. It doesn't have to be money, it could be security, like getting involved with the wrong person because you don't want to be alone. I mean, integrity comes at very intimate, close calls. It's not just that you sell yourself out. But, and another is that you will vote for anyone that will serve your interests. Doesn't matter if they harm hundreds of other people. I think we need to stop. I think we need to become people with more backbone. It's not always the latest clothes, the latest show, the latest restaurant, the latest boyfriend, the latest girlfriend. Getting up in the morning and thinking, oh my God, how can I satisfy my needs? Screw everyone else. And I try to, of course, I fail many times. I'm a human being, we all are. But I really think that we should, everybody's complaining about politicians and this and that. Yeah, we are in a period of time where politicians are rubbish. But what does that mean? That means we have to take that responsibility. But if you want to take that responsibility, you really have to look at yourself in the mirror. And you just have to stop hating people. And you really have to stop treating people that are not like you like rubbish. And I think we're doing that. I think we're very quick to judge other people, and people are putting themselves on a pedestal and they don't deserve it. Be careful when you put yourself on a pedestal. You better be the closest thing to Jesus, You better be pretty perfect because the rest of us are not. So I fight every day, every day. And it's hard because what's right is always the hardest. way, the hardest path, the hardest decision, and it can injure your interests. So I struggle with this. I really do.
What do you think you use the most to try to get through it? What is like your guiding light to
I think it's again my crazy Spanish side.
it?
So when I see injustice, or when I'm reckless, and that can be bad, but it also, everything has a good and bad side. Being reckless hurts me at so many levels, but at other levels, it makes me brave. It's like, at the beginning when we went online, we started talking about V of Vendetta, right? When does she, I don't remember what the protagonist's name was, but when does she starts to stand up? When she has nothing to lose. That's when she stands up. Because up to there, she was in a negotiation of, please let me survive. Please give me whatever. Please, I need something. But it came to a point when she clicked. She had nothing to lose. And that's when she had self-respect and she stood up. That's a very hard place to come to.
The American author Chuck Palahniuk, a quote from one of his books is, "It's only when we've lost everything that we're truly free to gain anything."
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I feel that right now we're in the picking the crumbs state. We're like, give me any crumbs. Just give me crumbs. We feel like we have no power, but we do. Because we're the majority. Normal people are the majority.
I know. That's why I
We
put
don't
this show
need
together.
crumbs.
I
We
put this
don't need crumbs.
Yeah, we don't. I put the show together for normal people to have a voice so they could feel like they are important, because they are important, and they deserve a platform. Everybody deserves a platform. It doesn't matter if you're like,
They're not just important. They're not just important. They are the most important thing. They are the fabric of society. They're middle class, working people. They pay taxes. They work their ass off. They bring up the next generation. There's nothing without them, nothing. The people that think they're famous, that they're important, are the insignificant ones. They will die and they can't take all that money with them.
I had someone that was of celebrity status on the show, and they're really wonderful, and I'm still a fan. But there's definitely, this person definitely was kind of a prima donna, and you can kind of tell that they lived in the spotlight for so long because they just didn't talk like regular people talk, and they expected so much. Like, I invited them to be on the show and they agreed, but then I was having to jump through all these hoops like I was one of their assistants or something, and it was a little off-putting to me. So I think at the moment that when the Wrestling Diaries really just rocket ships off of this plane, that I'm still going to keep the format the same. I'm still going to, even if I'm making millions of dollars, hypothetically speaking, I'm still just going to be interviewing regular people that work at the, at the local bazaar, or at Walmart, or at some coffee shop. I'm still just going to, because those people are my bread and butter, and it's the world's bread and butter, just like you said. And it's very important that regular people from society have a voice, and that their voice is heard.
People get angry amongst themselves, and I've heard, I read these comments sometimes. I'm not a big social media person because I really think that just is so unhealthy. But sometimes I do read the comments and I hear this thing about people are stupid. Democracy isn't worth it because it relies on stupid people who vote stupidly, etc., etc. And I just find that so annoying and condescending. People are voting to try and change things. They might not vote the right people, or they'll vote whatever they can to make some sort of change, but they're not stupid. They just want things to work. They want a good life. And everybody that is so condescending and says things like this, I would really recommend that they look themselves in the mirror, because they are just doing the same thing politicians do.
It's just it's a lack of
Politicians
empathy.
look on us. Yeah, politicians look at us like we're vermin. We're only important when we have to vote, and that has to stop.
I agree. Yeah, it does. It does have to stop. I don't know how it's going to stop and who's going to stop it. Maybe we need another Guy Fawkes for this generation, right?
Well, that was
I can
pretty
be.
gruesome.
I'll be Guy Fawkes. Remember.
Well, he had
The
a
5th of
pretty
November.
gruesome end, you know.
He
I don't know
did.
whether you have.
Yes, I've read the story. It is terrible. It actually it made me feel super bad. I was like, damn.
Oh, Jesus.
This,
Trust the Brits, you know. I always laugh, and then I found out it was Edward I that basically got up one morning. The King Edward I. Hey, anybody, if I'm wrong, please call me out on this. But I think it was the Hammer of the Scots, Edward I, and he wanted to kill the was it the Prince of Wales? I don't think
I'm not certain of the story. Yeah.
The leader of Wales. I'm not sure if he was a prince or he was a king. Probably a king. And the guy just got up in the morning and said, I'm going to figure out the most disgusting, painful, and long-winded way of torturing and killing someone. And he did a good job.
He did do a good job, yes. They had some. I've read some of those.
I would hate to be a traitor in those days, you know. Jesus.
Yeah, they messed you up real good. Real good. So that's why people's resolve, though, too, for people not to crack under that kind of pressure. I can't imagine the strength of their spirits, right? They're getting all dismembered and they're still keeping the faith.
Right? Oh, God. I mean, really.
Emma, let me get you to, I'm going to get you to plug in all of your business. Like, how can people find you as a vocal coach? How can they listen to your opera? When should they expect to see your books on the shelves at the local bookstore?
Oh, it's still in the works. The business is going pretty well, but I'm just working with clients and word of mouth. I'm building my website. I want it to be really interesting and interactive. And so I hope to really launch it big time January next year. But I do have sort of, a web page I use at the moment. The business is called The Voice of Your Mind, and it's thevoiceofyourmind.com. And the book is going into rewrites. Hopefully, I'll start pitching agents the end of spring next year. So I'm in transition. I am working really hard to build something of impact. And I do, of course, accept clients at the moment, but I haven't really launched it big time yet. I'm still working with people and slowly growing into it and finding new approaches and finding my own voice and interpretation of all the knowledge I inherited, you know. Here's the thing, Mitchell. I'm not into this get rich quickly scheme. I'm here for the long haul. I'm here to help people shine. I'm going slow and steady, and I want people to see the results.
Slow and steady wins the race, right? Like the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah, and what I want to do, I'm working on people. That takes some time. And then eventually what I want to do is post their voice before they came to me, and then post the voice after I worked with them. I want to see people what I can do. So I'm putting all that together. That takes time because I have to work with these people and transform them first.
Emma, did you think about it? Are you going to do some music for us? You going to sing? Huh? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Hey, you get up on stage in front of thousands of people to do this. You know, you're just doing this right here. Nobody might even watch this. So really, you're just doing it for me and Matt here. Mostly for me. Matt doesn't like opera, I don't think. What do you think? Is it a yay or a nay? I'm going to tell you that if it's a nay, we can't be friends anymore. On Facebook.
How about I sing something a bit light, because opera is quite.
Oh yeah,
quite something.
yeah.
How about something like Summertime, something easy for the audience?
I love that. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna sign us off, and then she's gonna do the song, and she's gonna end the show off like that. instead of us
Oh
using the
my
regular
God.
card music. It'll be her singing Summertime. All right, so you hold tight. Ladies and creatures and gentlemen, I hope you're enjoying this Halloween month so far and enjoying the Wrestling Diaries. As always, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public, and all the other plethoras of platforms that host audio podcast. Also, if you want to see the videos of me and these wonderful people I have on the show, come to YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow us. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Emma is wonderful. She's beautiful and elegant and eloquent. And if you're looking for a vocal coach to help you speak, to help you sing, or any of that fashion, check her out. Support her. She's really awesome. She's a really good friend of mine. And she's going to be in cahoots with me for many, many years to come. What do you wrestle with? And how can you beat it? One love.
Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your ma's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.